If you guys clicked on this video expecting Kardmi to be just another run-of-the-mill Pokemon clone, I promise you, you're gonna get your team wiped quicker than you can blink. The combat in Kardmi is complex, the AI is brutal and unforgiving, especially at higher difficulties, and one wrong move is gonna cost you your best Kardmi on your team, and even the battle at times. By the end of this video, I'm going to let you guys know exactly how to manipulate the field and dominate every battle you're in. So let's dive into it. I'm Critical Card Me. I'm brand new to Card Me myself. Been playing for about 2 weeks. Love the game so much. Couldn't wait to tell other people about it and educate other people about the game since there's not a lot of education and guides out there. That out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this video. I'm going to go and apologize real quick because I do have several notes kind of spread all over my desk. So if I take a couple second pause, it's just me trying to find my notes. Because, like I said, this battle system is complex. So let's start with the foundations. And I know this is not just a Pokemon clone, but that does not mean it does not draw directly from Pokemon. So what we have is the traditional rock, paper, scissors. It is present in this game. So fire beats grass, grass beats water, water beats fire. All those do double damage to each other. In addition to that, we have rock, electric, and wind. Rock beats electric, electric beats wind, wind beats rock. Again, all double damage to each other. And then for the last three, because there are 9 total types, in Kardmi, unlike Pokemon, which has grown and evolved over the years, no pun intended. But I know Pokemon has like I don't even know at this point how many types they have. The last three are Dark, Psychic, and Fighting. Dark beats Psychic, Psychic beats Fighting, Fighting beats Dark. And I think what's interesting dynamic in here is I know Pokemon started doing this later on, but out of the gate, Kardmi comes swinging with a lot of your Kardmi that you're going to find, especially even early on, are the dual elements. So you really have to kind of really know your enemy and what you're fighting and what the potential weaknesses are. Doesn't mean it's not going to do more damage to them. An example, Pyrodactyl and Pyrove. It's a fire flying type. Does not mean it does not, just because it's fire type, does not mean that it does not take double damage from electric. Unless that second element nullifies. So example, if it was a fire rock type, then yeah, lightning wouldn't do the double damage. But unless that second element nullifies what should be a double damage attack, always pay attention to what element of Kardmi you were fighting, especially when you're dealing with the dual elements. Okay, with that basic foundation out of the way, let's dive into a little bit more of the complex stuff. So, what I think really makes Kardmi shine and makes it unique is that it pulls a little bit from Temtem and the fact that it has a stamina system. You don't have like the PP, you don't have a set amount of time that you can use a certain move before you can't use them for the rest of the battle. But what you do have is stamina, so every move costs stamina, whether a little bit or a lot. And then after you run out of stamina, you were reduced to a simple tackle until you recover enough stamina. So you have to keep an eye on that. But beyond that, we're going to dive into some status conditions and this revolutionary system called type reactions. Now, forgive me, I haven't played Pokemon, any of the newer ones. I think the newest one I played was, it's been a couple of years. So I don't know if Pokemon has anything like this, but they call it the reaction system. So, for example, you have paralysis and burn. But unlike Pokemon, you don't simply burn a Kardmi by inflicting lightning damage. Inflicting fire damage, excuse me. You don't paralyze them by inflicting lightning damage. So, for example, with paralysis, what you would have to do is you would prime a Kardmi by using a water skill on your target. Then you would immediately follow up with a lightning skill. It's like a primer system, if you think about it that way. One hit primes them, the other reacts. And it's the same way with burn. You're gonna hit them with a fire attack first to prime them. The reaction will be when you hit them with a wind type move. And Kardmi has several of these in its pocket, and it makes the game really unique and strategic. So while we're on the subject, let's go ahead and cover the two we already talked about, paralysis and burn. So paralysis is going to not only it's going to reduce the speed, so I think the blades cut it in half of the afflicted Kardmi. In addition to that, it's got a 25% chance to cause the afflicted Kardmi to have to forfeit their turn. And then with burn, we have that it cuts the afflicted Kardmi's attack in half, cuts it by 50%. In addition to that, they're going to take 1/8 health tick every turn. So that's pretty huge, I think, especially if you want to play a defensive build or team. Being able to cut down your opponent's attack at will by inflicting burn, that's pretty awesome to be able to have that in your arsenal if you play it right. Again, you have to use a fire to prime and then a wind to ignite. Pretty solid stuff. Moving on from there, though, we have some even more specialized and kind of complex reactions. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with parasitic. And parasitic is the combination of being primed with a grass type move and then reacted to by following it up with a rock type move. And what parasitic does is exactly what it sounds like. If you think about like Leech Seed or something like that from Pokemon, it's going to take away about 1/8 health per tick per turn, and it's going to return that HP to you. Fantastic move, fantastic against especially water types. Moving on from there, we do have something called Overload. Now, Overload took me a little bit of research to get into and figure out exactly how it functioned. Overload is probably one of the more complex of the type reactions. So what it is it's primarily a psychic type reaction. You have to prime a target with psychic, and then you can partner that with any of the 6 that are not involving psychic. So water, fire, grass, electric, wind, ground, or rock, however you say it. And then what it'll do is once you inflict the overload status, attacking again with any of those elements, including psychic, has a 50% chance to regen 5 energy or stamina to your Kardmi that just attacked. And that's massive because even really powerful moves only take up to like 6 or 7 energy. So regaining 5 could be the difference between you winning and losing a battle. In addition to that, we have deterioration. Deterioration, I'm not gonna lie to you, because these next two, I'm not really sure what procs them. I'll have to do a little bit of research, and if I figure it out, I'll add it into a short for you guys in the future. Because unfortunately, in Kardmi, you go to the database page, and it says type reactions, but it has nothing under there. The only way you really know what's going on is if you're at a battle, you see that tiny, tiny icon, you have to click on it to get it to proc, or to get information about the status effect. And these two status effects don't happen very frequently, so it's hard to kind of get a grasp on what they do or what procs them. This one is deterioration, and I do know what it does. I just don't know how to proc it. I think, and don't hold me to this, but it is a 2 ground type moves back to back. And when using a ground skill, the user receives 100% damage caused by deterioration. Essentially, it causes double damage on that next ground type hit. So I think the idea is the more times it's been hit by a ground type technique, the more the opponent deteriorates, if that makes any sense. And then the other really complicated one is infiltration. This is a dark type strategy. I know it is. I just don't know what the other move is. It's dark, or it's dark fighting. I'm not sure. It may be dark in any other element but psychic. Um, but what it does is it reduces or ignores um, the defending card means a percentage of their defense. I'm not sure by how much percent, but because again, this is just an effect that, from my experience, being a little past the second island, I haven't encountered a whole lot. But if you could master infiltration and deterioration, those are two of the more complex and complicated. But the payoff is immense, especially infiltration. From there, we do have a couple more status effects, and that can proc fear. Some of these moves, a lot of dark moves, will inflict fear. I think Woodhammer could possibly inflict it as well, but don't hold me to that. Fear causes the opponent to miss a turn. Um, we have sleep. Obviously, you have, which is normally comes from like hypnosis. That'll cause you to miss several turns. And one thing I think is interesting about this game is as you level up, rank up hypnosis, you can actually increase the likelihood that a affected Kardmi stays asleep. So I think that's a really nice addition to the game. And then from there, we have a positive status bonus, which is Penetrate. And this is when a direct skill is dealt, 60% of the target's damage reduction is ignored. Kind of like Infiltrate, if I'm right about that. Alrighty, guys, and I think the last thing I wanted to touch on when it came to combat is not necessarily NPC battles or the PvP battles, but just the wild engagements that you'll be running into in the overworld. So I want you to pay attention to what you're fighting, whether you just run into the wild or you're fishing. If you're fishing and you're not paying attention to the color of the orb that comes flying after you reel in your bite, you should be. Gold catches are extremely rare, and they are alphas. Speaking of alphas, when you were in the overworld, the oversized bosses that you can run into there are also called alphas. Alphas are important if you have seen my other video, because they have better stats than the traditional Kardmi you will find in the wild. When you catch your next Kardmi, do me a favor, check its stats, and if you see any of their stats highlighted in gold or silver with little crowns on them, you will know that you have an alpha. But guys, that is going to do it for me. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys in my future guides. I will catch you guys in the next one.